Well, it's that unique time of the year once again, after the first snowfall, but it's before Thanksgiving. So it's cold, but it's also kind of sunny, and there's a little bit of snow around, but really not that much. The yard is almost all green. It's one of my more preferred times of the year, I guess. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of pretty to me. But, this time of the year gets me to thinking about certain things, and, being alone, I guess, is one of them.
As any D.B. Cooper enthusiast is probably aware, this Thanksgiving, the 24th of November 2016, marks the 45th anniversary of the infamous hijacking of Northwest Orient Flight 305 by someone who we only know as Dan Cooper. Now, I'm not going to recount the exact story as we know it today. I do highly recommend, if you're at all interested in aviation or in studying folklore even, those kinds of things, if you aren't familiar with the D.B. Cooper case, it's very fascinating. I highly recommend looking into it, if nothing more than just for fun. I do have a couple of items I want to share with you quickly here, and then I want to explain to you why in my own mind I sort of link Dan Cooper with feelings of loneliness and an understanding of loneliness as it is to me. I don't know. I've never been a philosopher type, but there is something to say, in my opinion, the way I think at least. There's something to say for the loneliness that you see in the Dan Cooper case. So what we have here is a die-cast model of a 727 that's rendered in the Northwest Orient livery. Boeing's 727 started out as a very questionable design, but as with many of Boeing's aircraft, it grew in popularity to be one of the best narrow-body jetliners available. It's one of the coolest planes too, I think, because of the engine configuration at the tail, specifically the center engine. I just think it's so cool how the thrust of the engine in the center exits the airplane well below the intake. Very cool aircraft. In my opinion, one of the best. I've always had a fascination with this airplane, due in large part to the Dan Cooper case. Of course, Dan Cooper picked this airplane to use because of the unique air stairs that descended out of the back of the aircraft that enabled him to make his jump successfully. I also, speaking of jumps, I also have this military-style parachute. Now, this is not the exact same model that was given to Dan Cooper, but this is a similar style to the parachutes that were rendered to him on the night of the hijacking. It's a very basic rig. The harness is, I believe, a 4-point harness. The ripcord is threaded through this flexible conduit to ensure it doesn't get caught on anything. Here is the rear of the pack. This parachute weighs about 18 pounds or so. Military equipment is always, very well constructed. So it's a well constructed parachute. I purchased this again on eBay. It was a great deal, and I have no practical purpose for it, but it's a very cool thing to have in terms of, especially in thinking about the case, the D.B. Cooper case. Anyway, what I want to talk about is how I feel that Dan Cooper, whoever this person was, and the reality is, we'll never know. No one will ever know who Dan was, who this person was about, what he was about, anything. We probably will never know. And therein lies the interest, I think, to a lot of people. It's just the mystery of the story. But make no mistake, this person was certainly real, a real human being, and whoever he was, he had some serious guts. You've got to give him that. When you think about leaving this aircraft at 10,000 feet in the air, in pitch black dark, freezing cold, through precipitation by yourself, having no idea where you're going to be coming down. You have no clue where you're going to be landing, where you're going to be coming down with that, in that parachute. It just, to me, it's frightening to consider. Now, many people, I think one of the reasons that Dan Cooper has fared so well in the court of public opinion is that, he never hurt anyone. Whether the passengers and crew aboard the aircraft were ever really in danger or not is perhaps debatable. But in whatever case, no one was hurt. So I think that, with the exception, of course, of perhaps Dan Cooper, depending, we don't know if he made it out alive or not. But no one else was hurt. There was no collateral damage. So many people, I think, feel, they honor him. Now, we unfortunately can't overlook the fact that he committed a crime. That's all there is to it. He requested $200,000 in ransom, which was paid. And mind you, too, that was in 1971 dollars. That would be today perhaps like $1 million. Tremendous amount of money that he stole. So the criminality cannot be overlooked, and it really can't be justified. However, again, he didn't hurt anyone or kill anyone, so I think a lot of people today respect him. Now, I am not by any means condoning any sort of crime, stealing, robbing, or certainly not hurting or killing anyone. But I'll tell you, one of the reasons I always have looked up to Dan Cooper from the time I was a little kid first learning about the story is when I think about in life, sometimes we're presented with adverse conditions or circumstances, situations that we're not maybe prepared for, but we have to deal with. There's no choice about it. It's life. You have to deal with it. And, of course, Dan Cooper made the deliberate choice to hijack that aircraft knowing that he would jump out. But at the last moments in that aircraft, I can only imagine what was going through his mind, thinking that in just a 30 seconds later, he'd be plummeting to the earth from 10,000 feet, again, in freezing cold, pitch black darkness, probably through rain, and having no idea where he's going to land. If he's going to land on someone's home or probably in forest somewhere, who knows? I'm sure he didn't know exactly where he was going to come down, but he knew he had to jump. And to me, that's just, it's so enthralling to think about that person up there, what must have been going through his mind. And unfortunately, like I said, in life, sometimes we're not even, Dan Cooper might have chosen to hijack that airplane and put himself in that situation. Many times in life, we don't choose, actively anyway, to put ourselves in these adverse conditions, but we'll find ourselves in these difficult circumstances or difficult situations where we are forced to act. And my message to you, and what I'm saying, I draw inspiration from Dan Cooper because he shows you that even if you are facing an unknown outcome, that is in our case the future. We don't know what the future holds. We don't know the ground underneath us, so to speak, as we jump out of our metaphorical airplane. But whatever that is, we can't sit in the airplane and cower. We have to jump. We have to go for it. We have to take a chance. And when you find yourself in an adverse circumstance, again, I think that's the best advice, is even if you're feeling nervous, even if you're frightened, you need to go for it. You need to not be afraid of the possible outcomes, which no one is denying could be negative. There's no question something bad could happen. But you have to move forward. You've got to go for it. You've got to do it. You can't be afraid. I've often wondered, was Dan Cooper afraid when he was getting ready to jump out of that airplane? Or was he so pumped up on adrenaline that he didn't he didn't have fear? Was he just nervous? Or how did he feel? I don't know. It's interesting to contemplate what we might think in that situation. Certainly jumping out of an airplane in good circumstances, in a good situation, is still, I'm sure, I've never parachuted before. I'm sure it's quite exhilarating. I do know people who have. I've talked to them, and they say it's the thrill of a lifetime. So I can only imagine how exciting it would be, even knowing where you're coming down, let alone having no idea where you're landing, in the dark, in the cold, and knowing that people are chasing after you, looking for you. It must have been quite a thrill for him. So, in conclusion, I guess I'm just saying, go for it. Follow your dreams. Don't commit crimes for sure. Don't rob, or don't hurt or kill other people. But go for it. Don't be afraid. Just take that leap of faith and do it. Whether you want to learn to be a pilot, or whether you want to open your own business, or whatever it is. Even if it's an adverse circumstance, like maybe if someone you know has cancer. That's a very difficult situation, but don't cower. Don't be afraid. Don't fear the outcome. Face it head on, because whatever the circumstance and whatever the outcome, however bad it may be, or perhaps good the outcome may be, you'll always be better off if you face your fears. So that is my message for today. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and I'm going to start making more YouTube videos, hopefully. I'm excited to do that, so hopefully you'll see some more from me. Be looking for new videos on aviation, on underwater exploration, all kinds of cool subjects. So thank you very much, and have a great Thanksgiving.